Darryl, let's get started. You ready?
Ready.
Awesome. Well, welcome to today's webinar, how to prepare your buyers in the seller's market. To get the most from the webinar today, we want you to take really good notes, and we want you to use this Q&A panel here to ask any questions you might have. To reach us at any time after today's webinar, we can be reached on all social media channels at Darryl Speaks. Darryl is the author of 3 books, all published by McGraw-Hill Publishers. That first one you see there, How to Become a Power Agent in Real Estate, is actually one of the best-selling books on Amazon to real estate agents. Darryl was named this year as one of the top real estate newsmakers by Risk Media Magazine in the Big Hearted and Brave category. And he's the recipient of the coveted CSP designation, which is only given to less than 2% of speakers worldwide. On that note, drum roll, please. Take it away, Darryl.
Thanks, Julie. All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to today's webinar. We always have such a huge turnout, so we're really glad, again, that has occurred. So let me cover a couple of things. First of all, one question that I always address right up front when we do these webinars: is this a sales pitch? No, it's not. But this is part of, just so I'm clear, this is part of an ongoing training, weekly training that we do for our power agents. So some of the people on the call right now, you're our power agents, you're our students, and then there's some of you that are guests. So I want to just distinguish that, because I want to talk to the guests for a minute, which, by the way, guests will talk about the power program at the end. But just to give you a Reader's Digest version of it, let me back up. From time to time, the reason why I'm telling you this is because, being that this is part of our weekly training for our students, sometimes I'll be talking to them on the side, pointing something out on the website or something like that. So I just want you to understand it. But you're going to get a tremendous amount of value, everybody, including the guests. If you are a guest, what I will tell you, this is our monthly, this is our membership for our students, that at $47 a month. But as a guest, you can become Power Agent for only $5. You can cancel any time, so you're not locked in. After that, it's the $47. But again, that's monthly. You can cancel anytime. Complete access to the Power Program website. But you get these bonuses today, which honestly are quite phenomenal. This is a screenshot of the bonuses that are valued almost $2,000. And what's relevant to today, just to give you a heads up, 2 of the bonuses are related to working with buyers and sellers in multiple offers. You know, one is an Excel spreadsheet with a training session that goes with that on how to lay it out to a homeowner. And the other one is a customizable e-guide that you give to a buyer and to a seller if you're on the listing side, explaining to them what they could expect and navigate multiple offers. But I'll go through that more at the end of the webinar. Right now, we're going to get into the training of how to prepare your buyers in this crazy seller's market that we see ourselves in. Now, some of the sessions, these weekly sessions I go wide, where I'll cover a little bit of everything. This session, we're going deep. This is just from the moment that you talk to a buyer, you're introduced to the buyer, or vice versa, and all the way to writing the offer. Some people are asking about how to get my offers accepted. That is a separate deep dive session that we did, which is my favorite. It's incredible. I'll show you where you can get that information. Just to give you an overview on what I'm going to cover with you in our time together. First of all, I'm going to share some concepts about working with buyers, just overall concepts. I'm a big concept guy. But then we're going to go into deep on how to handle the initial contact with the buyer when you first speak to them, whether it's an open house or telephone, doesn't matter. And then when you have a first meeting with them, which I'm going to just teach a little bit right now. One of the mistakes that we make with our buyers is that we don't have that formal, I want to say come to Jesus meeting, but that formal, like, here's how I work, here's what you can expect from me, here's what I expect from you, before you start showing them anything. And some agents, a lot of agents, make the mistake of just meeting buyers at a house or just jumping in the car and start showing property. That's not the good way to do this. And so we're going to cover that. And then last, how to actually show the properties to get ready to write the offer. Now, I want to talk to the power agents for a second. Power agents, if you know, when you go to the classroom and how the classroom is broken up into categories, listing appointment, prospecting, handling objections, there's that one category called buyers, and they're all alphabetical, right? So when you go to that, a lot of the slides that you're going to see, because somebody's going to say, Darryl, how do I get these slides? It's all going to be in that buyer tab for you, okay? Another place where you'll find some of the slides today is in the negotiating section of the website. And everything that I'm showing you, power agents, you can customize it, okay? All right, let's go in first. As I said, let's talk about concepts of working with buyers. So the first concept I want to talk about is actually a little bit about where to find your buyers. So sometimes how you manage your business effectively is that you should not have all your eggs in one basket. You should not have all your eggs in this one offer, this one buyer, this one listing. When you have a robust business where you have several buyers that you're working with or several sellers, and you've got a few offers that are out there in the marketplace, that helps you because you actually become more effective when you're working with really high quality people, as opposed to this one buyer that you're praying and hoping they're going to buy something. And you're hanging your mortgage payment on that one person. No career should be reliant on any one buyer or one listing that you have. So some ideas for those of you that do not have a robust amount of buyers, I want to talk to you, just give you a little suggestions on how to do that. Number one is consider doing an open house for another agent in your office. So I saw we had some new agents on the call today. One of the things that you can do is you can ask an experienced agent in your office that has several listings, and they would love for somebody to help manage the listing for them by doing an open house, with the understanding that you get to keep all the leads that come from that because you're not getting paid to do the open house. So there's the fair trade. One of the things you want to do is when you do these open houses, everybody, it's really important that you have some good follow-up dialogue. We were talking to one of our power agents I think it was last week, and he was asking me, his name is Chris. I think Chris is on the call. Shout out to Chris. You've got to make sure that you have a good dialogue, good system on how to qualify that person, because some of the buyers that come to an open house, they're not serious. So you've got to separate the serious, the buyer from the looker, right? And that's part of what that follow-up phone call is. It's hard to... Let me just say something about open houses, gang. Open houses are a lead gen. They're not going to do everything for you. They're going to get you the names and numbers of the buyers. So really, you've got to lock in your brain how important it is that you do that follow-up after the open house to really qualify the commitment level of that buyer. Second thing that you can do, gang, that need to attract buyers is consider offering something of value that's free. We see it all the time. We have it in my company where agents who aren't part of our power agent family will say, hey, download this free guide or something. You'll see it. You probably get ads in your feed, whether it's Facebook or LinkedIn or even your emails. Click here to download this free thing. That's a lead gen. That's a lead capture thing. So one of the things you can do to attract buyers, for those of you that need to attract more buyers. Listen, by the way, obviously the best way to get more buyers is to get more listings yourself, right? So I'm not talking the real obvious here, but being that I brought that up, the best way is for you to focus, and we will talk about that in a minute, about the 75-25 rule. 75% of your energy should really still be generating those listings. But if you can't or you don't want to, there are a handful of agents that prefer to not do the listing thing. They just want to work with the buyers. These are some ideas on how to generate those buyers. So going back to this free, offering something of value that's free. Power agents, we created for you this home buyers guide. It's actually, this is a typo, Julie. It says 28 pages. It's not 28 pages anymore. It used to be 20. How many pages is that buyer's guide?
Oh my goodness, I'd have to look.
Yeah, do me a favor, look, because I want to speak accurately about it. But if those of you can see, we just have some of the pages on there. And the reason why, because we revamped it, and my team, man, when they create stuff, we have Power Agents. You have a whole marketing company behind you in addition to the training and everything else that we do. And when we want to improve something, I think we've got the most talent. I mean, just visually look at how attractive this is. And that's not even the whole guide. But what you can do is customize the guide. And let me show some ideas on how you can do this. So you can take a postcard, and if you're not a Power Agent, get something of value that you can customize, where you can put your name and contact information on it, like we do for the Power Agents. You could do a postcard mailing about it. Of course, one of the cheapest and free ways to do it is to advertise it without paying advertising dollars. Just create a social media posting. Now, we designed it for our Power Agents. And you can't see this as a screenshot, but you'll see it says, call me today. I can help, name, cell phone. So Power Agents, you customize it so easily. Julie, how many pages is that guide?
It's still downloading. That's how big it is. So give me
It's still downloading. All right, you just interrupt me when it's ready.
44 seconds left, it says.
So advertising, a free report, a free guide, something like that. Another thing that you can do, gang, is do a webinar on for your just a general webinar. And it doesn't have to be as complicated as the webinars that we do. You can do a Zoom meeting, do it on Facebook. You do Facebook Live. There's a lot of different ways you can do it. Really simple. And if you did something on Facebook Live, you can use your social media. The other thing you can do, let me show you what we have for the Power Agents. Do you see this flyer on the right where it has the 4 boxes? You can have guest speakers like let's say a title company, a mortgage company, a home inspector, somebody else, yourself, of course, right? So you can have other guest speakers. And here's the great thing about this. When you have guest speakers, an attorney and a title company, and you say, listen, I'll give you 15 minutes just to talk to buyers about what should they be aware of when it comes to buying a house. So if you have 3 guest speakers talking for 15 minutes each, that's 45 minutes right there. Now, if you open it up, you introduce yourself. Hey, my name is Darryl from Power Realty. I want to welcome everybody for being here. I want to tell you roughly, here's what we're going to accomplish today. We're going to leave time for questions and answers, yada, yada, yada. Like you're introducing yourself to people. I mean, it's a wonderful thing. And then you have this team of really strong, powerful people. And then you can close the webinar. I see Julie Ida just beat you to it.
It's actually 38 pages. So
it's actually 38 pages, Ida. But thank you very much. She's probably taken out the back side and the front side to make it the content. Ida, thank you. So it's over 35 pages. Okay. Now, second thing. So let me just go back. Here's what I said. The first thing is, gang, you can look for buyers. Gave you a bunch of ideas on that. Open houses, advertise something of value, do a webinar. Second thing is focus on that 75-25 rule, which I said earlier. 75% of your energy and business really should be on getting listings and building your inventory. I know it's hard in this market, and this is what we've been helping our Power Agents so much about, how to not spend a fortune using the telephone, calling FSBOs or expireds or houses for rent or pre-foreclosures, all of those things. But one of the things that you can also do, everybody can do this, is I have a buyer dialogue. Now, let me just back up for a second. I took it off the screen because I don't want you to focus on me. I've been in the real estate business for 30 years. It's a long time. And over 30 years, actually. And I've never liked the dialogue of prospecting that says, I have a buyer for your house, or I have a buyer in your neighborhood. And the reason why I never liked it is because it was an old approach that was given to agents to use, even if it wasn't true. And most homeowners know that it's not true. I am now teaching it because it is true. This market is so different in all the years that I've been in this business. And the sellers know that this market is so hot that there's more buyers than there are sellers. So for you to call a farm, just randomly call people, of course, don't call them if they're on the do not call list in this scenario. But if you just call a farm area and say, hey, listen, the reason why I was calling Mrs. Hanahana is because I have a buyer who's been searching very seriously for a home to buy in your area. As I'm sure you're aware, the number of houses for sale is very low. So I was calling to see if you heard of anyone thinking of selling. No, you haven't? All right. Well, let me ask you, have you ever thought about selling? And then it goes on the dialogue. So one of the things that you can do to help build your inventory at the same time trying to sell a house is the I have a buyer dialogue. Now, power agents, talk to you for a second. That I have a buyer dialogue is in the prospecting tab. When you go to prospecting and it's alphabetical and you look for dialogue, D, you're going to see the dialogue for intro to your farm area, door knocking dialogue, expired dialogue, voicemail, But what I just did, I have a buyer, is in that section. There's over a dozen of those dialogues for you. And one other thing for the power agents, don't forget every Monday, because I know we have some new power agents. I saw them come on. Every Monday, I'm there for you. So when you start making your calls and you start struggling or you're getting hung up or whatever the case is, I'm available for you every Monday for a couple of hours. It says 1 hour, hour and a half, but it usually goes 2 hours. So make sure you call in and we can role play and you can tell me what you're challenged with. All right, number 3. Gang, when you're talking to buyers, don't listen to what buyers want. Usually, we all know this. If you've been in business in real estate for a few months, you know that what buyers say they want to buy, they wind up not buying it anyway, especially again in this market. You know, they'll say, I have to have a 4-bedroom, 2-bath colonial with a finished basement. And they want to buy a 3-bedroom, 1-bath ranch on a slab. So we don't pay attention to what they want because they really don't know. If buyers knew what they wanted, they would have already found it. You're going to show them what they can afford in their price range, and then they'll decide what works for them. Number 4 is don't give your address out over the phone. Now, of the property, this is a tough one for some of you, I know, but we've gotten, I think as an industry, we've gotten pretty sloppy, you know. I'm going to teach, let me teach something right now I think is a really important distinction. So if you all will just pay attention, and I haven't done this a while. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and just go right to me because I really just want you to hear what I'm saying right now. When it comes to working with buyers, there's 2 things. Number 1 is if it's not working for you, then you've got to stop doing it the way you've been doing it. So I want to give you a new way of doing it because the way you've been doing it, if it's not working for you, this might be better. That's number 1. Number 2 is there is a distinction between a customer and a client. A customer, let's go outside of real estate for a second. If let's say I want to buy a car, so I'm a customer looking to buy a car, and I go to a car dealership, and the car dealership shows me the inventory he has or she has, and I don't like it. What do I do as a customer? I leave that store and go to another car dealership. Now, I have never had this happen where the salesperson says, oh, you don't like what we have here? No problem. Get in my car and let me drive you to other car dealerships to sell you a car. That's never happened to me. As a matter of fact, in anything I've ever bought, I've never had a salesperson do that, whether it's furniture, clothes, jewelry. But for some reason in real estate, that's what we do. A buyer comes to you at an open house, or a buyer calls in and says, I want to see some houses. We start clerking, giving out addresses. I'll meet you at the house. And it's just, it's insane. It really, really doesn't work. When they're a customer, now, when they're a client, that's different. See, a client is somebody who's hired you to represent them. A client is somebody who is committing to pay you for your work that you're doing. I'm talking here, gang, about buyer agency. You should not be clerking, giving out addresses, all this other stuff that you do, some of you, if that buyer has not hired you. If they haven't hired you, they are merely let me go back to screen. They are merely a customer, and we should treat them as such. Let's go on to the next thing. By the way, I'm still on concepts, gang. You'll see it says on the screen concepts. I'm going to give you strategies after I finish these concepts. You got to have the right attitude when it comes to buyers. And here's the right attitude to have. I don't need a sale because I got some listings. When you are financially struggling, desperate, buyers can sense that. You know, when you go, remember the days, it hasn't been, some of us are starting to go back to the stores, but remember before the pandemic, we can go into a store at a mall or anywhere, and sometimes a salesperson would come over to us, can I help you? And you're like you can almost feel like, they want to sell. Then there's some salespeople that are just kind of there, say, hey, I'm here if you have any questions. I'd be more than happy to help you. Like they don't care if I buy or not. But if I have a question, they're there. I feel less threatened. I feel less like they're trying to close me on something. The same is true in real estate. My best year of real estate in sales was my last year when I knew I was going to stop listing and selling and get into speaking and training. And the reason why is because my attitude shifted. I was like, you know what? Working with a buyer, if you want to buy a house, great. If you don't, I don't care. I'm not the one homeless. You are. I didn't say that, but my attitude shifted. Top agents, the reason why top agents are so successful is because their success in their business is not dependent on this one or two buyers that they buy or not buy. So there's a freedom in that. So what I'm saying to you is how you can have this less attached to the outcome or to the sale or to a buyer buy, how you can shift that attitude is make sure you've got listings. When you have listings, you feel more control of your career. Next thing is your job is to create urgency with the buyer in today's market and to manage the emotional roller coaster that these folks will go through. Buyers go through. We see it all the time. People are saying this, my gosh, I can't have, I got these buyers and, they're just crazy. They're giving up on their dream because they put in so many offers in, they're falling through. So buyers go through that emotional roller coaster. Part of your job is to manage that. Let me back up on this and just highlight that. When you're a listing agent, your job is to be very logical, to be a marketing agent, to serve them, to coach that seller, and to market and promote the listing. But when you're with buyers is more emotional. You got to be a little bit of a therapist there. So just be aware of that. Number 7, you must establish your value. Choosing you is the best decision that buyer can make because, gang, I'm going to stress that you need to have buyers hire you. They need to sign a buyer agency agreement. You've got to believe in your heart that you got value that you bring to the table, and they're not willing to work with you that way, then don't work with them back, all right? Now, this is my favorite concept that I want to give you here. When I show you how to present the buyer agency and get a buyer to sign it, if the buyer does not sign that buyer agency agreement when you meet them face-to-face for the first time, they're already telling you by not signing, they are not committed to making sure that you get paid. They are telling you they are not committed to working only with you. So why would you work with them if they're not willing to give you that same kind of commitment? Okay. So one thing I'm going to share, power agents, is I'm going to go through the dialogue right now when you meet a buyer for the first time on the phone, but you can use the same concepts, whether it's texting, whether it's some other form of meeting them for the first time. You can tweak this dialogue. So I'm going to go through this dialogue with you, everybody now. Let's just pretend, though, we're going to use the telephone. Somehow you're talking to that buyer for the first time, and you say, hi, this is Darryl Davis, who am I speaking with? Yes, and your phone number, please, and how may I help you? Now, usually you get their phone number. You'll tweak it. You'll get their phone number, caller ID, if it's on your cell, etc. But sometimes it's still good to ask because there's a rule of thumb in sales. Whoever's asking the question is actually guiding and controlling the conversation the way it's going. So it kind of helps train the buyer that you are the one driving the bus in this conversation. Most buyers, when they call you, there's a bit of an arrogance. They're not committed to working with you. They're just calling to maybe even eliminate you. So you want to take control of this relationship. Hi, this is Darryl Davis. Who am I speaking with? Okay, great. And can I just confirm your phone number, please? All right, great. And how may I help you? Well, I'm calling about this house at 1010 Hana Lane Sword on Realtor.com, and you were the listing agent. Oh, okay, great. Well, here, you know what? Of course, I know the home is my listing. We've been getting a lot of calls on that property and a lot of inquiries. Let me just, can I put you on hold while I check the status of it? Now, let me tell you why this is powerful. Especially in this market, I said to you, one of the things you need to do with the buyer up front is create a sense of urgency. So if you've got this buyer who they've never worked with you before, they might have loosed out on some other houses, right? And they contact you somehow, email, phone call, text, and you say, yeah, could you hang on for a second? Let me just check the status of it, whatever the heck that means. But you're putting them on hold. And it creates a sense of urgency. Oh my gosh, I hope this is not another one that's gone. I'm creating urgency right now. So now I come back to that buyer and say, hey, thanks for holding, or thanks for, let me just check that. The house is still available. Oh, yay. Let me ask you, are you calling for yourself or someone else? Well, this is for myself. Is this the primary price range you're in? How long you've been looking? Yada, yada. So you're going to go back and forth now, talking to this buyer, trying to qualify the buyer, getting a sense of what the buyer is committed to, their level of commitment, building a relationship with them at the same time. Here's some other questions you can ask them. Have you seen any houses you like? Why didn't you buy one of those? When were you thinking about making a move? What's your initial investment? What's the total monies that you're working with? All right, great. May I have your email address? Some people will say, Darryl, why don't you ask for the email address up front? Or number 10, are you working with another agent? Why wouldn't you ask that up front? I'll tell you why, because they're not going to be honest with you. If the first thing out of your mouth say, hey, John, thanks for a hold. That house is still available. Let me ask you, are you working with another agent? No. Because they know why you're asking. So if they're not going to be truthful if they are working with another agent. So if you have a nice dialogue, you're taking care with them, you're asking some questions, you're building that relationship, and it's almost like an afterthought. John, are you working with another agent? Yeah, there's some agent I saw an open. Oh, okay. Did you hire that agent with an agreement? Because that's a real important piece that we need to know right up front. Then you can have that honest question with them. Okay, at some point, they're going to want to know about the house. You can't keep qualifying them on the phone. They might even interrupt you. Darryl, I just wanted to find out if the house is available. Can I see it? So, all right, we can do that, but let's just slow down a little bit. I'll tell you how I work in a minute. Or they'll say that they won't say, I want to see the house. They'll say, I just want to get some information that I don't see on the website. Okay, what would you like to know about the property? A fair exchange means you're going to go back and forth. By the way, I want to be clear with you on this dialogue, gang. This is a good structure of a dialogue that works so many times. You don't have to be rigid with it, though, okay? There needs to be some fluidness to it. I don't want you to tell a buyer when a buyer goes to interrupt you at some point. Can't tell them, listen, I'm not ready. That's what you're asking is part 4. I'm only on part 2 with you, so hang on there. They don't know that this conversation's broken up into parts. So be natural with this, right? Okay. So the buyer says, yeah, I would like to know, fair exchange. The reason why it's fair exchange is because if the buyer asks you a question, you need to answer it. But it gives you the right to also ask a question. So if they ask you, so I see that it's got 4 bedrooms. I wasn't clear. Are the bedrooms up or down? You say, yeah, the bedrooms are all upstairs. It's a colonial type of house. Is that the type of house you were looking for? Yes, it is. Okay, what else would you like to know? So you basically go back and forth like a ping pong. They ask you a question, you answer it, but you serve back the ball. Bing, with another question, and it goes back and forth until you decide that this house they want to see this house or not. Either way, we're going to set up an appointment. So we call it invite action. For the guests on the call, one of the things you should know is that our training, we're not fans of using words like close. Our philosophy of power agents don't close people, they coach people. They don't sell people, they serve people. So there's more of a very customer and client centric approach where it's about serving and not selling. So that's why it says invite action as opposed to other training would say close for an appointment. I like to think of it inviting people to take action based on what they're committed to. So if a buyer is committed to buying a house, I invite them to take the action consistent with that commitment of buying a home by meeting with me so I can give them the best advice and coaching on how they can accomplish that which they said they're committed to. I can't help somebody get to what they're committed to if I don't get a little bit more information. So it's important that we meet face to face so I can get a little bit more details about the commitment. Along with that, you can see how I can help facilitate you in coaching you and how I work with my buyers and the strategies and steps that I take. Okay, so you're going to confirm with these people that this house works for them or doesn't work for them. And if they want to see the house or not, you want to make sure, hey, you folks are serious about buying a house. Am I right, Frank? Okay, good. Well, let me tell you a little bit about my company. It's a good thing that you called today, Frank, because I don't have to tell you this is a very challenging market to find a house for buyers. I don't know. You said you put in a couple offers before with an agent you used to work with a while ago. yeah, it's still kind of challenging. But the good thing is my company, we have this thing called the 6-step buying process that's designed to help people like you, Frank, find the right house with the least amount of aggravation. So what I like to do, Frank, is I like to find the time when you and the missus can come on in and I can share with you the 6-step buying process. And in addition to that, while we're together in the office, I'll jump in the cars together and I'll show you some property. And then last thing, before you set up that appointment, you want to make sure that you get that lender, have them get pre-qualified. Now, I'm seeing some of the questions come in, like one is, what if you don't have their telephone number? Any of you have questions, write it in the chat. You may not see your question pop up on the chat because what my team is doing is they're holding it in a pattern for when at the end, and then we start going to those questions. So don't panic if you don't see your question answered. It actually means I will answer it at the end. Mark Fritchell, one of our power agents from Prudential. Thanks, Darryl, for helping me take my business from 17 million a year to 140. That's pretty impressive. So I'm going to share with you some of the things that we're teaching people like Mark, our power agents, face-to-face meetings. So now when you have this face-to-face meeting with the buyer, they come in, the first thing you want to do is break the ice, give some token of value. Now, if you're a non-power agent, I'm sure that you can find some things of value that you can give. Power agents, I'll show you some of the things that we put together for you, a home buying checklist. Everything, power agents, I just want to remind you, everything you see on the screen is customizable. So at the bottom, you can drop in your contact information. Some power agents like to use the logo. Some like to move it out of the way because they want to put the company logo in and they need more space. Loan application checklist, something that you can give them as breaking the ice. Avoid the most common mistakes that home buyers make when it comes to buying a property. Oh, one other thing that you can do, gang, all of these items you could actually use also in advertising, offering this free checklist to buyers if they just send you their email or their contact information. This is something we put together that we're real proud of. And that is a moving guide for children. And actually, Julie, I think we changed the look of this, didn't we?
We did. And that home buying checklist actually has been redone, reworked a little bit as well. So
okay,
we're always moving things around, checking them up, making them, changing them up.
I can't even keep up my office. They keep improving stuff. I think this is beautiful, and I think it went into more pages, didn't it, Julie?
I believe so.
Yeah, every time you guys touch these things, you add content and it becomes bigger, but which is power agents love that. But I want to say something about the kids. I'm going to show you something. We have passion for children for a lot of reasons. One of them is when it comes to moving, it can be traumatic for children, but they can't articulate it. You'll be surprised, the studies, even at the youngest age, how they're aware of what's happening, and it creates an insecurity that can really impact them into their childhood. So we've done some things to help like this, making the whole move kind of a game for children. So, if you have a buyer and they have children, give them this gift. Here's another version, just a simple one-page version of a moving checklist for kids. Let me just read a couple. As you travel on the plane or in the car to your new home, bring your favorite stuffed animal to keep you company. Remember a night light or a flashlight for the hotel room if that's is what's going to happen. Make sure that you have your favorite bedtime story. Bring a small bag of toys and games and coloring book or crayon, maybe even a puzzle to keep busy while mom and dad help the packers unload the van. So those are just some of the things. There's another new homeowners checklist. And then the first time buyers 101. Again, power agents, you can put your contact information in there. I want to show you this other thing. I guess I'm going to show it to you later. Power agents, you're going to find that in the classroom. And then if you go to buyers, everything I just showed you, that's where that is. Okay, so let's go on the 6-step buying process. So let's assume you meet the buyer for the first time face to face in the office. The first thing you want to do is inform them a little bit about yourself. And the reason why you want to inform them about you, and this is how you would deliver it. Ms. Hanahan, the reason why I want to inform you a little bit about myself is because this is an important decision, and I want you to feel comfortable working with me as your agent. As a matter of fact, if you don't, I want you to tell me. I'll be more than happy to assign another agent in my company for you to work with. Sound fair? And they say, sure. Second thing, assuming I pass the audition with you, Mr. and Mrs. Hanahana, I'm going to then ask you a bunch of questions. The reason why I do that is to get a better picture in my mind, the type of house that you're looking for. So is it okay if later on I ask you some questions about what you need and what your wants are? Okay, great. Step 3, then what we're going to do, based on what you tell me, we're going to go select the available houses in your price range and meet your criteria. Now, the reason why I want us to select these houses together is because I want you to be part of the process. So that way, assuming we find the right house today, you won't procrastinate wondering, is there something better out there for you, because you already be familiar with everything. Instead of doing it the way you might be doing it now, where you check on Realtor.com and Zillow and then some other ads and ForSaleByOwner.com and all this stuff, this all in one shot, we're going to see everything that's currently available for you. Make sense? Okay, good. Then what we're going to do is we're going to physically go look at the properties. When we do that, Mr. and Mrs. Hanahana, I'm not going to take anything with me. And the reason why that is like, as far as the taxes and the square footage. And the reason is because I found what's better for a buyer on that initial preview is to look for that. We're looking for a home. Does it speak to your heart? When you walk into the house, it's, oh, this is it. That's what's really important. That's what we're looking for. Assuming we find that house that speaks to your heart, then we'll come back to the office. We'll go over the paperwork, and I'll answer those questions about bedrooms. The lot size and square footage and taxes and all that stuff, what stays and what doesn't. And it's also in this step where we'll actually put an offer together so we can present it to that homeowner. The last thing is I'm committed to ongoing service, that even after you close, move into this property, I'm going to be here for you. If you ever need anything real estate related, I'm here to help you. Any questions about the 6-step buying process? So gang, this is your first meeting with the buyers. You're going to explain to them this is the 6-step process, and then you're going to actually start implementing that process. Step 1 isn't now. Let me start informing you about myself. What I want you to do, gang, is because we're going to talk to the buyers and have the buyers hire you as a buyer's agent. In order for them to hire you as a buyer agent, just like you do a listing appointment, you need to validate you and the value you bring to the table, why they should hire you. I suggest you present it in 3 sections. The first section is about you and your credentials, your certificates, the awards. If you're a power agent, tell people it's like the CPA of real estate. It's cut above the rest. That's how you present power agent. So any of that stuff, and achievements, of course. The second section is about your company, and you want to validate your broker and mission statement. You guys got one, because, again, it's not just you, but it's the company, your market share. And the last section is give them the state of the real estate address, the State of the Union that we have in our government every January, State of the Union address. This is a State of the Real Estate address where you're going to update the buyer on what's happening in real estate. Now, let me give you a sample of this. Power agents, I want to tell you something. When you go to that buyer tab, you're going to see a PowerPoint slide deck that I'm going to show you now, that you can customize. I want to show everybody this. See where it's, I keep saying customize it. I'm going to just actually physically show you. See how it says Darryl Davis? I'm going to put Julie Escobar. I spelled it right. So everything I'm showing you, you guys can customize it and print it out or put it into a PowerPoint. All right. So finding your shelter in home, or that's what it used to be when we launched this during the pandemic. But finding your right home in today's market, you're going to talk a little bit about yourself, your recent sales. Now, for those who don't have sales, don't worry. You'll fill it in with other stuff, maybe some testimonials, a copy or screenshots. Like, what's better here is if you had photos and comments of people that add some validity to it, any certificates that you have. Power agents, we're designing actually a power agent certificate to give you guys so you can put it into your presentation. Then the next section is about the broker, right? So you want to have some real photo about the broker, some background about the broker, what your leadership team is. If you have more than one office, you should talk about that as well. And then you're going to talk about the market. Now, there's a bunch of different ways you can talk about the market. There's the national market, and then there's the local market. Nationally, one of the things that we put together is the real estate predictions for this year. And, we're halfway through the year. A lot of these predictions have come true. Some of them still have not come true yet. And so there's something that you can glean from that as an example. But most importantly, because I said real estate is national and local. So regardless of what it says on a national level, gang, you really should show buyers, here's what's happening in the neighborhood. And jot this down because I don't have, but you should have show them last year to this year when it comes to the prices of homes, the available inventory. This is really important, jotted down. Days on market. Let me tell you why that's important, because if you're in a market where, let's say, the average days on market is 13 days, and you show that to a buyer. Last year it was 28 days. Now it's 13. The market just keeps getting hotter. Then you start showing them the property, and there's a property showing them that's been on the market for 11 days. What did I just tell them? The average days, what? 13. Yeah, John, Mary, this house has been on the market 11 days. You think that'll create a sense of urgency? Well, we better buy this sucker before before we lose out. Here's something that I put together for the power agents. You're going to get a copy. I'm going to actually tell everybody how you can get a copy of all these. This slide we just created is showing the interest rates, what's happening. You'll see a downward trend. It looks like we pretty much have hit bottom. So when a buyer says, well, I'm going to wait till maybe after the summer. Well, listen, if you wait till after the summer, there's a lot of talk about these interest rates. They're going to start going up. And then you're going to wind up, watch what happens when interest rates go up. If, let's say, at 3%, at $350,000 mortgage, there's your payment. If it goes up, let's just round it off to 1%. Well, here's what happens. You'll lose $25,000 in your buying power, and your mortgage payment still goes up almost $100. Julie, are we okay? I'm hearing weird noises.
Yep, we're good.
Okay. So your payment goes up and your buying power goes down if things go up 1%, even 0.5%. So anyway, this really shows a buyer as rates go up, your buying power goes down tremendously and your payments are still going up. So, man, I wouldn't wait. I wouldn't be waiting after the summer or any time. I buy today. If you could, I'd buy yesterday. I love what Warren Buffett made. He's one of the richest people in the world, multi-billionaire. He did it through the stock market. And even the stock market guru said, I would buy up a couple 100,000 single-family homes if held for a long period of time, purchase low rates. Houses are even better than stock. This is why his company bought Berkshire Hathaway Home Sale Service. This is a smart guy. So I'd be telling buyers, listen, you want to imitate wealthy people. And here's a wealthy guy saying, buy real estate. This is what I wanted to show you about kids, gang. So this is good to help motivate the buyers to buy in this meeting with them, in this conversation with them. If they have children, you want to show them that there was a study done from Duke University, American Psychology, Fannie Mae, Habitat for Humanity, that children who live in a home that's owned versus a rental, they have 3% less behavioral problems. They have better English grades. They have better math grades. They're more likely to graduate from high school, and their overall health improves, more likely to go to college after high school, and 2.5 times more they'll get some kind of job. In other words, here's what happens, and I would give this, listen, gang, for any of you that have buyers that are losing their passion of buying a house right now, if they happen to be renting and they've been losing out on deals, but they have children, say, listen, you've got to stay committed to you getting into a home, because every study in the world says that you're buying this for your children. If nothing else, you got to get into a home. You've got to get into a home because it's going to help your kids in their future. Okay. So that's it. Now let's talk about buyer agents versus selling agents. So here's what we did. We're still in section 1 with the buyers, informing them about ourselves. What you want to now do is talk about buyer agency with them and explain to them there's a difference between working as representing the buyer versus working for the seller. One of the things that I can do for you, Mr. and Ms. Hana, is I have great technology. When you hire me as your buyer's agent, I have technology like this RPR that I can use to help you. This is an exclusive software an app that we have here as a realtor at the National Association of Realtors, and I can make this available to you and use the tools of this to help you find the right house in today's market. One of the things I can also provide you is 3D virtual tours, and I can give you floor plans and measurements. These are the things, digital signatures. As a buyer's agent, I can even notarize things and not even see you face to face. This is the kind of technology I have. See, buying a house, Mr. and Miss Anna, is if you look at the Monopoly board as an example, when it comes to getting the loan, there is all of these steps that have to be taken. Between me and my team, I can help you from the moment you look at a house to the moment you actually move into the house and bring you through the entire process. I can keep you informed about the whole contract process with our software. Here is all the things that I can do. Now, gang, I know this is a fire hose right now when I'm giving you the concept when you're talking to the buyer to get them to hire you is you first have to establish, if you're my client, if you hire me to be your agent, this is what I can bring to the table for you. If you don't hire me, you're merely a customer. You know, we do customers like at a dealership, a car dealership, or a shoe store, or furniture, or clothes. I show you stuff, and that's it. And it's up to you to figure out the rest. Now, you and I both know we still help the buyers, but there's a real difference when it comes to negotiating who you're supposed to represent. And if you don't have a buyer's agency agreement, in fact, then you're representing the seller. What you can do is make a list of all the things that you do when you're a buyer's agent and how much money that is saving the buyer. As your agent, I will do this: promote and protect your interests, sign an agency agreement saying I'll represent you, I'll ask you to be loyal and not work with any other realtors, locate and show available properties from any company, etc. So you be clear. But here's one of the things I want to show everybody right now. Oh, this is a guide that we put together, 40 things that a buyer's agent does to earn their commission. And we just basically put this together, created an e-guide for our students where they can put their contact information on it as well. But here's the part that I really want to show you guys as well. As a seller's agent, my fiduciary responsibility is the home seller. Therefore, if you don't hire me to be your agent, I cannot advise you on the offer you should be making when you do find the home that you like. After writing the offer, I will negotiate the best. I will not negotiate the best price for you, but instead for the seller. I can't represent your best interest. My responsibility is to represent the seller's best interest. Now, listen, gang, this is very strong. This is saying, listen, let me go back here. This says, here's all the things that I do for you as a buyer's agent. Here's how I work for you. And that's a positive approach. Let me give you a concept about sales. If you want people to make a decision, show them the benefits of that. If you want them to make a decision now, show them what they lose if they don't. And what I'm doing here is I'm saying, listen, if you don't hire me, here's what I can't do for you. So it is a bit of a negative approach, but it's accurate. It's because it's really making clear to that buyer, listen, I can't represent you in your best interest. I can't negotiate the best price. I can't help you on the price because I'm representing the seller. So it's really in your best interest. And if it's not me, you need to find an agent that you can hire. You need to have representation is the whole point here that we're trying to make. Power agents, everything I just showed you is in the classroom under buyers. Now, this is a lot of information. I don't have time to go over all this. I'm going to show everybody how you can get a copy of all the slides. It'll be easier that way. But what this is I've taken some buyer agency agreements from certain parts of the other states and highlighted some of the things that I like, because you can create your own agreement. First of all, your MLS, your board probably has one. And but some agents like to create their own. This section here talks about that, what you expect, what you're guaranteed to get paid. So therefore, if you're going to show them a for sale by owner or something, that's fine. But the buyer understands, even in the FSBO scenario, you still need to get paid. We can work it into the price, the contract price, so it's not out of pocket for the buyers, but there's that transparency. You're still getting paid. And you can break it down into other categories, like if it's a for sale by owner versus an auction or a builder, you can have different pricing on there. telling them what you're having the buyers lock in. If they buy in your community, so you can have it be based on, like, this is Maryland, DC, commercial property, residential. So that way, even if I'm licensed in Virginia and the buyer says, well, I have an agent in Virginia, all right, well, I can represent you in Maryland. Signs and advertising. If the buyer sees a sign or advertising property being offered, the buyer will not contact the seller or the seller's agent without notifying them that I'm representing you. I'm going to show you something that we put together. Anyway, so there's a whole bunch of these things, a lot of legal stuff. But here's the point, gang, is you need to have a buyer hire you and guarantee that they're going to make sure that you get paid. You do that, you have that conversation after that other section that came first, which is talking about you, talking about your credentials, talking about your company, like your value. It's like a listing appointment. With a listing appointment, we validate ourselves. Well, here's what I'm going to do for you. Hire me, sign the listing agreement, same concept. Now, what we did here, what we created, I'm just fast forwarding it. I love this, is when the buyer does hire you, you give them this 8.5 by 11. This is really awesome. That says, I'm currently working with an agent as their buyer client. Thank you for the opportunity to view this property for sale. Should you have any questions, feel free to contact my agent. And you put your contact information at the bottom. So what happens now, your buyer, if they want, you tell them, listen, go out to open houses, find anytime you see a house, give them the sheet saying you're represented. Now, what I love about this concept, not only is it putting the agent on notice or the seller on notice that if they see something outside of you, it actually is having this buyer get even more committed. Every time they hand this out, it's making the buyer committed to you. That no matter what, you're my agent. I'm going to make sure that you're covered. So I love that strategy. Okay. So you're going to inform them about you. You're going to hire you. Then you're going to ask them questions. So now they've hired you. You're going to ask them questions. The benefit to asking the questions, it helps determine their motivation level, establishes rapport. It saves you time and energy. So this is where, after they've hired you, you're going to ask them questions about their situation and what they want, right? Now, these questions, again, I'm going to tell everybody how you can get a copy of this, so we have to go over it, but these are the qualifying questions of your buyer. The next part of this third step, is we're going to select the houses to actually physically go look at. And what you want to do is have them be part of that process. So that way they take ownership in the homes that you do see. During the sharing and looking on your computer together, they're getting a sense, they're trusting you, the sense of urgency of the limited amount of inventory that they might have, days on market, a lot of valuable stuff. The shiny penny concept, everything is a shiny penny right now because of the limited inventory. Okay, the last thing is, and then I'm going to talk about 5 and 6, is inspect the properties. When you go look at the properties with these buyers, so for them, it's, let me go back. So the 6-step buying process is inspect, because they're going to inspect the property with you. And but what we're talking about is actually showing the property. Now, what I'm going to give you some tips is if you're doing it together live, as opposed to a virtual tour, which you can do as well. You can get on your phone and you can show them, and they're looking on their phone. But because we've turned a corner here, as long as more and more people keep getting vaccinated, shout out to that. This is a good thing. We're going to have more and more face-to-face interaction with people. So one of the things you can do when a new listing comes out, not just with these buyers, but any new listing that comes out, what I want you to do is, unless they're a client, see, this is how you work with a customer. When a new listing comes out, and let's say this is a 4-bedroom, 2-bath colonial, it's $5.25. Oh my gosh, it is priced. This is great. I'm going to call this listing agent. Hey, power agent, I got some buyers. I want to bring the house. I saw your listing just came out. Can I have an appointment? I'm going to show it to a few people tomorrow between 2 and 4. Can I have that slot? Sure, you can have that down 2 to 4. Now, here's what I do. I call 3 of my buyers. Hey, Mary, listen, a house just came out. Are you still looking? Oh my gosh, you got to come see this house. This house is a shining penny. It's going to go quick. And I have a couple. Can you come out tomorrow between 2 and 4? Okay, good. Because I called the listing agent and I asked if I can have my own little private tour of some top clients that I have. So there's you and I have a couple other people that are in that same category. So it's going to be like a mini open house by invitation only. So I'll see you. There'll be a few other people there, but I'll see you tomorrow between 2 and 4. Sound good? Great. So then Mary gets there, and then I make the call to John, and I make the call to Bernice, and they're all there. And so it's like an open house by invitation only, just your people. I tell you, if you show that house to 3 buyers at the same time, you're going to get 3 offers. You're going to sell that house. Take the scenic route. So if you're taking a house and it's not in a very nice area, because then it's, I don't know, it's by a dump or something. Take the scenic route first. You still have to show them the dump that's next door or something, because the odor, I'm just kidding. You got to disclose everything, but don't have it be the first thing that they see, is my point. Lower their expectations when necessary. In this example, I say, oh, this is a hot house, it's going to sell quick. But if you have a house that's a nice house, it needs a little elbow grease, don't say, oh, you're going to love this house. Downplay it. Say, the house needs some elbow grease. It needs maybe a little bit more, a little work, but I think we should really see it. So when you lower their expectations and they go in, they go, oh, this is not that bad. That's what you want. Number 4, park across the street. Stupid little thing makes a huge difference. When you pull into the driveway in front of the house, they feel like they're overwhelmed by the house. So what you want to do is actually, when you park across the street, you'll see them standing across the street and they're soaking it up. Oh, look at this. Otherwise, it's right in their face. Number 5, take only a pen and pen. Don't take taxes, yacht, all that data doesn't help sell the house. What we need to have is no data, because they need to feel, oh, this is what we want. The more you're talking about the square footage and the taxes, this is not the listing. It's like, anyway. Don't tell them the price until after the show. Don't pull up to the house if they're in the car and say, now this house is $499.9, because now they're going to get out of the car and say, all right, I got to judge it and see if it's worth $499. You don't have to tell them the price. Any house that you show a buyer, it's in their price range, right? Because you picked it together. You looked at it online. You look, these are the houses. We know what they are. And what does it matter if it's 500 or 525? Let's just see if you like it. Who cares? Do you like the house? We're not shopping based on price. We're looking to buy a home. That's a different thing. Now, if you like the house, all right, now we got to pay attention to the taxes, the monthly payment. That's a different story. But let's look for that feeling. Take only a pen and pen with you. I think we already said that. Must have been a redundancy. Show your favorite feature lists. So when you're touring the house, if they really love that backyard or the pool, then make sure you go there again, as you're leaving the house. The finished basement, it's beautiful. It's decked out. They got a disco ball, whatever. Go back, have that be the last thing. You don't want the dirty, stinky garage be the last thing that they see. Watch for buying signals. Get out of the way. Don't stand in front of them. Let them go from room to room. You got to focus, listen, feel how they feeling. So you kind of step back. You don't have to, this is the living room. They know it's a living room. This is the kitchen. Shh. Step back. Let them soak it up. And by the way, this is not on my notes. Don't run them from room to room. You might have been in the house a few times. This is what you do for a living. You want to go bing, 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 bing. No. Let them soak up the room. Let them tell you when they're ready for the next room. That's why you should not lead, but be behind them. Focus on the monthly payments after you show the property. Say, yeah, this house is $500,000, which is kind of the monthly payments are going to be somewhere around $3,552. Because people buy that way. It's easier. It'll become less of a negotiating problem. Share their favorite house a second time. If you go out with a buyer, you show them 3 houses. They don't like house number 1. They like house number 2. Bring them to house 3. Don't stop. Keep going. They may not want to. So no, come on. We'll go real quick. Bring them to house 3. Even if they don't want to go, you take them to house 3. Oh, I don't like it. Darryl, I like that second house. You do, don't you? Let's go back. And now when you bring them back to the second house, they sell themselves. It's a magical thing when you see it happen. Like the first time they buy with emotion, the second time they justify it with logic. Oh yeah, this will work. Here's why it'll work. So that's the process. Now, when you come back to the office to write the contract, here's what I'm going to tell you. I told you, some of you, if you're a power agent, if you go to webinars on demand, One of the training sessions we did a few weeks ago was how to get your offer accepted in today's crazy market. That's a really great webinar, and the slides, that's a whole hour on how to get your offers accepted. Now, I have a gift for everybody, so hang on to the gift. So here's what we said. Motivate your buyers to buy. Use the 6-step buying process. Super validate yourself so they can hire you as a buyer's agent. Convert them from a customer to a client. That's why they hire you. And then become a power agent today, because here's the gift that we have for you guys. Because some of you, I saw the questions came in like, how do I get the slides? And they think, because there's so much content here. Here, let me first explain the Power Agent program. First of all, it's $47 a month, but there's no long-term contract. It's valued at $197, but you can lock it in. You can be grandfathered in when we go back to that higher price. You'll be locked in at the $47, but you can sign up today for just the $5. And you can cancel anytime, complete access to the site, and you get all of these bonuses, which includes a copy of all of these slides. Now, the slides, I said it before, and I'll say it again. Everything that I've showed you, you can customize it. But in addition to the slides, there's weekly coaching every Monday that goes almost 2 hours. One of our power agents, Brenda, said, I look forward to the calls every week. Your encouragement is special to all of us. Thank you, Brenda. I appreciate that. All of these training sessions are recorded. There are dozens and dozens and dozens of training sessions available for you to have access. There's a closed Facebook group, which is incredible. The networking is off the hook. This Power Agent website we have is loaded with over 500 forms, flyers, and checklists. I'm going to give you an example. When you go to the classroom of the dashboard, the website is alphabetical based on, like, because if you, let's say you needed help with the listing appointment, you'll see at the bottom of the screen, the last thing, it says listing appointment. You click on listing appointment. Or let's say you needed help in farming and self-promotion. You think farming, okay, you click there, and then you're going to see literally over 500 forms, flyers, checklists, promotional material that you can customize. And we added a favorite section, so that way if like you get overwhelmed, like where like you save it in your own folder of stuff that you like. We use similar technology that Google uses. So let's say you needed help for a sale owner, and you type in FSBO. Here, everything that's FSBO related, whether it's a dialogue, a training session, promotional, social media posting, whatever, a checklist and e-guide will show up for you. Denise, she said when she first joined, said, I've been a power agent for a week. I'm already a better agent, which I just love that quote. There's just so much. Now, this is everything that you guys get. Now, actually, this slide, hang on one second. That is the wrong slide, but let me go through this really quick. You'll see the first thing says the listing presentation slide deck. You're going to get a PowerPoint slide deck that you can customize, and you get to keep all this. So watch this, gang. So if you decide to do the trial for $5, this is all going to get emailed to you. Then you get to keep it. And if you wanted to cancel, that's your choice. Then there is how to deliver the listing appointment. That's the second thing on the slide. The third thing is a breakthrough business plan. It's 43 pages. It's, I think, the best business plan in our industry because it has 3 plans in one: how to generate now business, how to generate future business, and how to generate financial freedom. And so we go through that. It's almost more of a book than anything. If you're a new agent or you're struggling or you're an experienced agent and you need to restart your business, that's that fourth one there. The fifth one says top 12 dialogues, calling FSBO's expired, door knocking, I have a buyer dialogue. It's all in there for you. 184 ways an agent earns their commission. And the last 2 items are dealing with negotiating, e-guides, and a spreadsheet on how to manage multiple offers. And then everything on the right, a copy of today's slide, a copy of this webinar, and a CRM if you need it. So those are all the gifts that you get that are worth almost $2,000, but you get it for $5 as a gift. And power agents, you have access to all of this already. So power agents, if you're on the call, if you wanted to share, like, either, obviously we're going to open up to questions right now. So if you have questions, but power agents, if there's anything you want to tell the guests about what you like about the program, we always like that. And that's it. Okay, so let's go to the questions.
All right, let's do. Shayla's been hanging out there for a while for us. What if you don't have phone numbers? How do you get them?
Yeah, so the only way to do that is to really just ask them. And sometimes they're not going to be honest with you, or they're not going to give it to you. But you just ask. So you can't always. Some people are not going to cooperate, and that's also a telltale sign for you not to work with them. Next question.
Heather says, what about an objection saying they're waiting for a credit score to go up? It's 678. How important is that in today's market?
It's 678. That's a doable. Here's what you would say to a buyer. Well, first of all, what you should do is talk to your loan officer and ask them, is 678, is that what kind of loan could somebody get? So you need to get educated on that. That's number one. Number two, some of these loan officers have the ability to improve a person's credit like almost instantly by just a couple of tweaks. So the second thing I would say is have that buyer work with your loan officer to have that happen quickly. And here's why. Number three is while they're waiting for their credit score to go up, if interest rates go up as well, they're not going to benefit from waiting. As a matter of fact, they're going to lose out because the rate's still going to go up and the property values are going up. So they're going to pay more for a house. They're missing out on appreciation. So it's better to not wait in that scenario, and that's what you want to convey to the buyer. Next question.
Can we cancel anytime?
Yes, you can cancel anytime. This is a month-to-month membership, okay? Month-to-month. You do not, it's very simple to cancel. You just say, I want to cancel. You just send us an email, you call us, and we cancel you. We don't want people who don't want to be here. So, but I will say in an industry standpoint, we have the highest rate of retention of any real estate membership. And it's because we're giving you at least $200 a month of value for only $47. So
there you go. What time are the coaching calls on Mondays?
They start at 11 o'clock. So today was 12, but those start at 11. And like I said, they usually go to 1 o'clock. They go almost 2 hours. And I'll show you where those are. By the way, while I'm doing this, let me just jump to something because I keep saying about it being customized. I don't know if do you see this? This is the certificate, right? That you would give a buyer. And you'll notice I could take this and just move this. And there's my contact information here. So everything that for you guys, power agents, you can customize and put your logo at the bottom and stuff like that. So I just wanted to show that. But as far as the coaching calls, I'm on the live website right now. These are not screenshots. And so what happens, gang, is after every call, we record them. And I don't know if you can see it, but this one was 1 hour, 57 minutes. And so these are the weekly calls that we post there so you can listen to them later. Like if we do a role play, you'll be able to capture that recording. Next question, Julie.
Perfect. How do you respond to a statement in this market scenario? A home is on the market one day, listed for $100,000. Buyer says he's interested in the home, but not the price. He'd be willing to pay $70,000.
Yeah, he's not
for that.
Yeah, he's not serious about buying. So, yeah, I'd be interested in buying it too at $70,000.
Right. All day.
If that house, I don't even know what state you're talking about, but I'd buy that house at $70,000 without even seeing it. So, yeah, the buyer's just not serious. That's all.
Perfect. How do you represent three buyers? Aren't you pitting them against one another?
No, that's a great question. No, what you're doing, see, that's one way of seeing it. Here's how I would see it. I'm giving three buyers the opportunity to buy a house. So, because think of what would the option be? Do you just show it to one? Now, if I'm one of the other two buyers, why didn't you let me see it? Well, I'll show it to you after I showed it to the first one. Yeah, but if the first one sees it and writes an offer, then they are ahead of me. So why didn't you call me first? So in my opinion, showing it to three buyers at the same time is just what an open house is. Why it's no different than an open house. So don't get twisted about saying, oh, isn't you're pitting them against? No. You're doing an open house. It's by invitation only. You could have invited 30 people. You only invited these three. They're special. So every one of them should feel special. And they have an equal opportunity now. Equal opportunity now. Say it again. They have an equal opportunity. All three. You've leveled the playing field for them to buy the house. I think that's the best way to do it. Next question.
Excellent. When you talked about showing to 3 buyers at a time, are you talking about customers, clients, either or both?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think if I have 1 buyer's agent and 2 customers, not signed buyer agents, so I have 1 client and 2 customers, I think I would set up the appointment with my client an hour before because they hired me. So I give them the 2 o'clock slot, and the other 2 customers give them the 3 o'clock slot. I would tell my client, because they're a client, I'm giving them special preferred treatment. They got a whole hour to see it and see if it's something that they want, but then I've got to make it available to the customer. So that's how I do that.
Awesome. David says, not a question, just a statement. A big thank you to Julie and Darryl. I'm on board, excited to get going. Awesome. Welcome aboard, David.
Welcome. I'm going to show David and some of the other new power agents because I can tell everybody's starting to sign up already, which is great. So
my question, where's the buyer's guide? I said my next question was, where's the buyer's guide? So you just panned over it.
Okay, so the buyer's guide. So there's several things here. You remember, gang, I said I have a buyer dialogue and the follow-up to an open house dialogue. There's the 6-step buying process visual. But let me just show you this. There's a couple of things I want to show you. First of all, what we did just about a month ago, I'm so proud that we did this, is because I didn't think I'm telling you, we counted them. We have over 500 things. And I was afraid how long it would take. My team really jumped in. We converted anything you would give to a consumer. I call them a civilian, actually. We have a Spanish version of it as well. But let me show you. That's not what I really want to show. I want to show you the customization part and this commitment to children as it's loading. And like Julie said, there's these files are really big because we use really nice graphics. And so the nicer the graphic, the harder it is, or the bigger the file size to open up. There is the home buyer's guide. Julie, that looks like the older one, right?
Yeah, the guide is actually right all the way at the top. So I'll make sure the other one gets it. But it's all the way at the top. It says buyer's guide because we have those other pieces that go with it. Okay.
So the buyer's. So where do I see the buyer's?
All the way at the top. Scroll up.
Yeah.
Their buyer's guide to real estate, far right.
Yeah, there it is.
Put everything together so you can see it. It has a postcard. It has social media ad that helps you advertise that you've got this available for people.
All right, cool. Which, by the way, Julie, just a note here, because I think this is the older one, which is the one that I pulled. Let's delete it off the site, okay?
Yep. Sarah, can you make a note of that for me?
The older buyer's guide. It says home buyer guide package, right?
Yep.
So that one. All right. So this is the children one. So what happens, gang, is everything is done in PowerPoint or Microsoft Word. But you'll see here when I go to edit this, this is where I can put my contact information. Hang on, I just want you to see how I'm moving that. So, and if you want to get rid of the Power Agent logo, which I advise you not to, but a lot of this is editable. So I'm going to show you if you want. Bing, I just deleted a whole bunch. So a lot of our stuff you can, which obviously you don't want to do, right? But the point is that you have the freedom to really customize these pieces, and they're all like that, okay? So that's the first thing I wanted to show. And Julie, you wanted to see the buyer's guide. Now, this is the buyer's guide. I'm so proud of my team. I want you to see this. It's because it turned into a book, okay? But let me just flip page by page on this. And the graphics is just so beautiful. Now, see here at the bottom, you would put your contact information and your phone number. But if, let's say, there's something in here you disagree, like let's say we use the wrong terminology because of your state or something, watch how that just disappears. See what I just did there? So even with all of this, you can customize it even down to the words of the thing. So anyway, but let me go to, it's just beautiful. The back page is you, right? So this is where you put your photo, your contact information. Then what you can do, one of our power agents, Joanne Mills, she takes these guides, because we have all of these guides, and she prints them out in full color and binds them. And they're just really powerful pieces, because this is just the buyer's guide. Julie, I'll go to the questions in a second, but sure. I just want to finish showing everybody. If I go guide and just search guide, and I think it should be e-guide, but here there's other guides. So it's not just the buyer guide, right? So there's a seller's guide that we have. There is an easy move guide that we did for buyers. There's the Spanish version, the parking lot party planning guide, and there's more. There's the agent field guide for those. That's for you personally. There are a whole bunch of other guides that we have. There's another way. I'm going to show it this way. Julie, give me 1 second. I'm going to go to Classroom, and because I'm just so proud of the guides that you guys have put together, the team has put together. If I go to farming and self-promotion, this is where all the e-guides are, and it's alphabetical. So if you go to E for e-guide, there's the farming e-guide, the easy move guide, the moving checklist for kids, the 8 risks homeowners take when they try to sell their own home, the 184 things real estate agents do, the parking lot party guide. So there's a ton of guides for you guys. Okay, let's go back to questions.
Fantastic. How do you get a buyer's agency with leads from a paid buyer lead? They are out of state and buying sight unseen.
So what's the question? How do you get that?
How do you get a buyer's agency agreement when someone's out of town, out of state?
Oh yeah, you just do a virtual meeting. You just do a Zoom meeting, and you do what we did here, and you create a presentation. So if I go to the buyer section and I go to the buyer presentation that I talked about, which is going to be as I go through to find it.
Should be present.
Buyer. Oh, there's an iBuyer thing too for you guys.
Presentation buyer agency.
There it is. So when I open up this buyer presentation, which is going to take a minute because it's a big file, you'll customize it. You'll put your contact information in there, and you'll do a shared screen, just like I'm doing this webinar. You'll do it with a buyer that's out of town, explaining your value, what you do, and how you work, and you have them sign the buyer's agreement. You can use. I'm a fan of notarize.com, which is a way to actually have documents also signed and notarized. But this is the buyer presentation slide deck that you would customize and put your contact information. So you would just do it virtually. Next question.
I love it. In this hot market, is there time to have buyers meet with you first in the office? We have properties selling within 1 to 2 days. Buyers want to see the properties right away.
Yeah, no, see, if you want to just show buyers a house here and a house there, that's how you do what you just said. But that's not how you should work with buyers. A buyer first has to understand, here's how you work, here's how the relationship's going to be. You're going to sign and hire me as your buyer's agent or not. I need to disclose that. You have to do buyer agency conversation. That's part of, I think, every state in the country. You have to have that conversation, and you should be having it first. So you need to have that face-to-face meeting. Then we'll go run over to the house. So you're right. It's a hot market. So let me move my schedule around. Let's find a time when you can come to my office so we can have that meeting, and then we'll go take a look at that house. You want to get together tonight at 5, or is 6 better for you? Well, I don't have time for because I have the dinner and the kids. Well, then, I guess you're not as serious. Like, I'm not going to drop everything for you because it's convenient for you. You got to take the time. If you're serious about buying, you're going to move your schedule so that way we can sit down and talk face to face. I'm available. I'm here, but we got to make the schedule work. Okay. All right. Next question.
What kind of information do you give someone who comes to an open house? I don't want to overwhelm them with too much.
Yeah, when a buyer comes to an open house, you're just doing a lead gen. You're meeting them. You're building a relationship with them. At the end of the tour, that's when you ask for their contact information. The mistake a lot of us make is we ask buyers as soon as they walk into a house to fill out a form, which is stupid. So, because they don't know you, you don't know them. Oh, but they gotta log in. What do you get? Your security person at a condominium complex, you gotta sign in for. They're not gonna give their real information. So don't do it like that. Build a relationship. Greet them. Nice. I'm glad we're here. Let's take a look at the house. We tore the house together. We build a relationship. Da 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 da. And then as you leave and say, oh, by the way, Mary, John, if I have some other houses I think are coming on the market nobody else knows about. If I have something that I think is a hot thing, do you want me to let you know about it? Yes. Okay, great. Let me just get your contact information. Now I'm going to get honest information. And then I'm going to do a follow-up call. Next question.
Is there a quick suggestion on making an offer in multiple offers? A completive offer?
I don't understand the question, but if you're a power agent, anything that's related to the offer, you're going to find it in that webinars on demand, in that webinar that I talked about. Okay, so which is how to write the offer. So if I go to webinar on demand, and then it's going to the webinars on demand, gang, just so you know, are sorted based on the date of when I delivered it, right? So last week I did this webinar, the 7 Habits of Highly Effective Realtors, and but this is the one. So it was 3 weeks ago, was how to get your offer accepted. Now I want to show you guys something, power agents, hang in there with me. So here's the webinar I did. So if I click play, it's going to start the recording, but also on that page, you can download my PowerPoint slides. Now, when this says download, you're not you're getting the exact, like this is today's slides. This is today. So we upload the slides that go with it. So that way you don't have to wait for anything. Okay.
Perfect. As a current power agent, do I get all of these things as well?
Yes. Yes. That's everything. If you're a current power agent, everything that I showed, you already have access to. You just got to log into the site. And I know whoever's asking this is a new power agent. So what you do is you log into the site, you go to Classroom, and you go to Buyers. And when you go to Buyers, this tab, you're going to see everything that pretty much that I talked about today. The buyer's guide, the moving checklist for kids, the loan application, the predictions of real estate. It's all here. Do you see it? So I copied this stuff and I taught. There's a 6-step buying process. By the way, one other thing. This little chat thing here, we have real human beings there. So if it's not automated, and when you do call our company, we do have a voicemail tree, but unlike other companies, which I hate, you can't talk to a real human being. You can. So you can talk to them on the phone, or you talk to them in the chat. The chat is quicker because people, like right now, we have 3 team members that are standing by. Like if you wrote a question right now, bing, it goes out to all 3. And whoever's the best qualified to answer your question will pick up your question for you. And if you get frustrated, or it's not communicating well, they're going to say, just call me. So you can talk to real human beings. Next question.
Excellent. If we have 2 buyers putting an offer in, how's it? It's hard to be fair. How can you be fair to both?
You can't. So there's a couple of ways you can do that. Number one is you can ask another agent to represent the second buyer for you, and you'll pay them a fee, right? So whatever you work out. So that's one way of working around it. The second way is, you're just transparent with them to say, listen, what I need to be is Switzerland, right? I need to be, I will not be able to coach you specifically on what you should be offering or doing. So you need to, I'm here to answer any other question about the market, but I'm not going to pit either one of you against the other. So my advice is you should be in it to win it. There's another buyer who wants to buy it. You should put your best offer in and make it your last and final. So that way we're not negotiating back and forth and you're trying to outbid somebody else. So that's how I would do that.
Perfect. Bud asks, what do you do with a buyer that might consider 3 adjacent bordering states like Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York? You should
don't work with that person.
Right. Rob says, how long do you work with a potential buyer if they're not responding? We've emailed them dozens of listings. Most have gone under contract already. They just don't respond. Should I dump them?
Well, this is why you shouldn't be emailing people listings. That I didn't teach to do that. Who asked that question? I'm sorry. I'm going to get tough with him. Rob?
Yep, Rob.
Yeah, Rob, that's clerking, man. They don't need you to email them listings. They can get Zillow can email listings. Realtor.com they can go online. They don't need you to email them listings. So you make yourself less valuable when you do that. That's number one. That's why they're not responding to you, because you're clerking. You're not somebody who's making 20 grand a year. Here's what you do. 20 grand on a sale, depending on the price, of course. But anyway, here's what you do, Rob, is when a new listing comes out. So here's how this works. I breezed over the shiny penny thing. So let me just jump back to it. There's a concept that we teach power agents: less stress, income higher, work the house, not the buyer. Which is better, Rob, to take one buyer and show them 10 houses, or is it better to take one house and show it 10 times? Obviously, one house 10 times. Why? Because what's the product? The product is this cup. See, what I want to do is, let's say I want to sell this cup, Rob. What I'm going to do is I'm going to call 10 buyers, say, you got to come see this cup. Now, there's 10 of you. Only one of you is going to get the cup. So I'm going to show one buyer at a time. Do you like I'm working the cup. I'm working the product. This is the product. They're a customer. Now, when you take the other way you do, Rob, is you're emailing listings. Tell me what you want to see. I'll show you a listing. I'll show you a listing. You're working the buyer. That's wrong. Even if a buyer hires you as their client, they're still, in a sense, a customer. You work the product, not the customer. All right. So stop emailing them.
Melinda, do you have to have PowerPoint or Microsoft Word in order to use this program?
Yeah, right.
It's better if you do, but there are Google products that it'll work in Google Slides and work in. So there's Google products, there's Apple products, so they all will convey to either one of those. And soon we're going to have a web to print, so we're going to be changing things over that way as well. So that's exciting.
All right. Well, if being that Julie said that, one of the things that we're doing we're not officially launching it yet, like saying it. So whoever's on this call now, shh. But everything that's on the site, instead of you clicking and downloading it like you saw me do and then editing it, you'll be able to edit it online. So you will not need PowerPoint. You will not need Word. You'll be able to open it up in a software online where you can then edit it and then send it to print. It'll even mail it out to your farm area if there's something that you want to. So it's called Print on Demand. We're doing that. We're launching that hopefully in the next 30 days.
Awesome. Darryl, can you hold a class to help us better understand partial waiver versus full waiver of right to terminate offer due to home appraisal because of this market? I'm so confused.
Okay, so yeah, here's what we'll do is, if you're a power agent, that would be for the Monday coaching call. So what you would do is, on the Monday coaching call, you would ask me any question that you want, and we can talk. The Monday coaching calls are different from this. Like, this is a webinar training where Julie's asking the question, but you're really listening to me. But the Monday call, you can take yourself off mute and I can actually talk to you and understand your pain better, and we can have a dialogue. Okay. So be on the Monday coaching call.
Perfect. David asked, as a new agent, can I say I don't have an answer, but I'll get with my broker owner to get the answer for you?
Yes, you can do that. But I would like to tweak how you would say that. So I'd have to role play with you. Who asked that question?
David. He's a new power agent.
He's a new power agent?
Mm-hmm.
David, what I would do is I would need an example of a question you're getting. So, because I'd want to answer it that way. So if somebody says, would this, do I have to do this legal thing to buy this house? And I'd say, well, you know what, in some scenarios you may need to, but what I'll do is let me verify with my broker. So I want to give you most accurate, especially with that type of question. So I want to try and make it seem like I'm being thorough and not uninformed or uneducated, because I'm new. So I try to mask the newness in your response. Does that make sense?
It does make sense.
Okay.
For the buyer's guide, can it be emailed as well, or is it too big? And I actually have an answer from Sarah on that you can use the free Adobe PDF compressor, which will make the file size smaller. And you can also use Like if you have Google or whatever, you can put things in a Google Drive or send it that way, or a Dropbox file.
Yeah. Well. So here, even easier than all of that. When you go, I'm in the print right now, print to Adobe. And if you go to print properties, there is a default setting of standard, high print quality, smallest file size. So if you do that, that's going to compress it quite a bit, which should make it easier to email. So that's another way to do it.
Perfect. Bruce says, how do you typically deliver the guides to your client, customer, prospect? Hard copy, email, or as an attachment? We have power agents that do all of the above. I know Joanne prints them as books, and she uses that on her listing appointments or buyer appointments.
So I did a class recently with Disney Institute, and so it was a PDF that I downloaded, and I printed it out. And because I like it printed, I like to see it, I like to flip it, I like to touch it, I like to use my pen and write. And this is the however big this thing was, 50 pages. So my point is, my favorite, like Julie just said, is printing out a hard copy in color. Actually, Julie, I want to point out that our guides are even better than the Disney book. just saying, okay? So I mean, because look at what's on the screen and look at this over here. So I think we're doing better than Disney. But anyway, so you print it out, because you look on the screen right now. How beautiful is that? You print that out all in color with your company logo and everything else. So I would like to see you do it that way. But you can email it. You can have it be a download. But wherever possible, I'd hand it out. These are great door knockers. You know, when you're knocking doors in your farm area and say, I'd just like to drop off a gift to you and like that. So next question.
And it is a great download for your site. So you can offer these on your website. And we just actually did a LinkedIn webinar with a LinkedIn expert. And she was talking about using all of these guides and all of these tools that you have in the classroom as flipbooks on LinkedIn to generate LinkedIn leads as well. So it was a great webinar. And I was actually going to have you show that, but at the bottom of that page, we didn't scroll. We have guest speakers all the time, and the guest speaker webinars are all at the bottom of that webinar on demand page.
Oh, is that where it is? I was just going to go to tech tools and training. So we go to the bottom of this section. Here's the guest speakers. And just to show you some of the ones that we've done recently, this is the LinkedIn training that Julie's talked about, and she did such an incredible. Power agents who were on that, I heard that I wasn't on it, but I heard it was one of the best. And this is our CRM for power agents. So we have our own CRM for those that need one, how to use that. We had a mortgage expert. This was Catherine, one of my favorite interviews. She's the #1 agent in the whole state of Florida. She's a power agent. And met her from Tristan, who's a lab coat agent. He's a power agent as well. And anyway, so these are the guest speaker recordings. Next question.
Awesome sauce. This is Ruth. Do we give them flyers such as first-time home buyer or rent versus own flyer? I think Ruth is talking about at the open house. So all of those flyers, I would have a couple of them. I would definitely do Loanopoly. I think that's a fun way to walk people through the buying process. And all of those are in that buyer's tab. So pick and choose, or have that buyer's guide printed out and available.
Yeah, you could now this is some of these things like the buyer's guide or the move guide. There are a lot of pages, so you may decide, I don't want to print out a 50-page book or something. Like, you can decide. But some of these, like the easy move guide, I think that's a big one as well. I'm going to open it. But yeah, some of these flyers, like the 7 rules that's for agents, the checklist for kids, the predictions is something. But yes, you can have a couple of these things, the children one, the checklist for moving, first-time buyers, and you can have those as little gifts at the open house for sure.
Another quick comment is when you look at some of this content, especially the bigger guides, you can pull that content and use that as a blog post on your site for those of you that are looking for blog.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. That's such a great idea, Julie, because this has come up. Like, people are saying, I want to write for my blog, I want to post things on my website. We have so much content there is no training colleague of mine that has the amount of content that we have for you guys. And they're not just flyers. Like if you're looking at this one over here, this is a book that you can take credit. It's a book that you can take credit for.
Right,
So
and you
this,
can photos. That's a lot of agents are like, oh, if I have to create something, then I have to go purchase stock photography and that kind of thing. So all of this is included in everything here is yours to use.
that's it. And you get to keep this, even if at some point you say, you know what, I'm done with Darryl. I don't want to be a power agent anymore. It's fine. Whatever you got, you get to keep. That's fine. We have no problem with that. You just can't call yourself a power agent when you drop. But other than that, so do your home. This is a guide for people who are in moving day. Here's what to do. Change of address. But like Julie said, you can open up one of these pages, and there's a blog article for you. Like, here you go. And again, you can copy and paste it, delete it, edit it, whatever you want. So, yeah.
Love it. Phyllis has a house listed for $195,000 on the market, 200 days. It's beautiful. But the builder ran out of money and can't put the kitchen or bath in. I asked him to lower the price, said he can't. I can tell buyers that he can work with them to put the kitchen and baths in place, but maybe I'm not asking them the right way because no one is responding to that.
Yeah. So
please help.
I have a listing.
That would be more of a coaching call. I think
Okay.
you're gonna have to go.
Oh, Phyllis, no, I can help Phyllis with this. Phyllis, here's what I can tell you. If the builder has run out of funds, then people are not going to trust the builder, period.
Mm.
So you want to sell the house as is, not with, right? So I would say this was a project that was unfinished. So it still needs but we're pricing the house accordingly. Let that buyer find their own kitchen installer, their own handyman, whatever. But I would make believe that the builder is out of the picture totally. They're not, obviously, they're giving you the listing. But when you're promoting it and talking about it, you got to almost make believe this builder is out of business and disconnect from them. That's how you sell that. And you price it accordingly.
Right. And if the builder is not willing to come down on the price,
well, then it's overpriced. So
right.
If the builder can't finish the house, if the house as is worth 150 because you got to put a kitchen and everything else, and he wants 200, then you should just release him from the listing because it's a waste of time. Because then you can't sell. You can't. That's like here. I got a Rolls Royce. It's a Phantom. They were $400,000. I'm going to sell it to you for $300,000. Wow, what a great deal. Yeah, there's no engine in it. And there's no chassis. It's just the shell. But hey, it's a Rolls Royce. No, it's not a Rolls Royce because it has no engine. A house with no kitchen is not a house. So anyway.
Ruth asks, would it be too much to give buyers an entire folder with a lot of pieces in it, like the first-time home buyer, loanopoly, rent versus own?
Yeah, you could do that. Sure. Let me just tell you the thing about, so you want to just be tactical and strategic about how you give it, right? So if you give them a folder of stuff, I give that to them when they're leaving.
Yes.
If you're going to give 1 or 2 pieces, I would do it like at an open house when you meet them as soon as they come in. So, and here's why, because a folder is too much. But if you got, well, thanks for coming here. I have a little gift for you. It's a home buyer's checklist. I give to all my clients or potential clients, and it's just a gift I want to give you, along with, if you've got kids, it's a moving checklist for kids. Oh, how cute! And that's it. But a folder, you're not going to say, before you see the house, let me show you all the great stuff in the folder. It's too much. So just give it to them to look at afterwards. All right, next question.
Excellent. Frank asks, what's a good way to secure a bid with multiple offers? I think that goes back to the negotiating the multiple offer webinar on demand, which is going to be in the webinars on demand. Yes.
Yes, Fran, as far as how to get your offer accepted or to when you're dealing with multiple offers and how to secure yours, that is a totally different webinar, and that would be the webinar on demand, and you should watch that webinar. And after watching that webinar, you have questions, then ask me on the coaching call.
Perfect. How do you deal with buyers who are only 80% sure and say they want to think about it? Would you follow up with them or let them reach out to you when they're ready to buy? How long would you wait to follow up?
If somebody tells you in this market, I want to think about it and I'll get back to you, they're not ready to pull the trigger. So, because everybody knows how hot this market is. And so that really means that they're not ready to buy, or they're not ready to buy that house. So I wouldn't follow up with them. You showed it to them, buy it or don't. And if they're not buying this, I think about it, then that means they're not buying it. So I would call them the next house that comes up for them. You may want to text them. You can tell them, listen, hey, I'm here for you. If you have any questions, the house is still available. That would be fine. I wouldn't call them because that smells like some desperation on your part. But reaching out to them in a text saying, hey, I just want you to know I happen to talk to the listing agent of that house. House is still available, although the agent told me there's a couple of people that are taking second looks at it. So I just want to give you a heads up. So in some cases you want to use a hammer, and some you want to use a little tack tool, So in a follow up with a buyer, it's a little tack tool. You want to do it softly.
Perfect. Are you saying don't email any listings to your client prior to scheduling showings to make sure that the home is what they want?
Yes, Fran, that's exactly what I'm saying. I'm saying that what you're going to do, Fran, is you're going to schedule an appointment with the buyers to sit down with them to go over the 6-step buying process. And part of the 6-step buying process meeting is you're going to inspect the house. You're going to select the houses right here that you're going to show them. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to inform them about you and who you are. And the reason why you're informing them about you is because you're going to ask them to sign a buyer agency agreement. Once they hire you here, then you're going to ask them some questions about what they're looking for. And once you've done that, then you're going to say, all right, let's go to the computer and let's see what houses meet your needs based on what we just talked about. And then you're going to schedule those appointments to go show those properties. So this is the 6-step buying process done in this order. And yes, you do not email listings to the buyer. You have them come in and do this, what I just taught for the past hour.
I've never seen you do it quite like that, where you're moving all the pieces around. I like it.
Well, this is the benefit of our stuff is that you can customize it. If anybody wanted to change it and say, I don't like calling it inform, I'm going to call it, I'm going to educate you about me. There you go. That's fine.
There you go. Jessica says, if my buyer doesn't want to sign a buyer agency agreement, how should I respond?
Say, all right, well, listen, I just want to be clear. So what you want me to say, here's how you work with that person. I just want to be clear with you because I need to from a legal standpoint, right? From a legal standpoint, I can't advise you when you do find the right house that you like, what you want, what you should price it at. I can't represent you. My commitment is to not get you a house at the best price for you. My commitment is to get the best price for the seller. I just want to be clear with you because legally that's what I have to do. It may feel like I'm working for you, but I'm not. I'm working for the seller. And if you're okay with that, that's fine. Now, I personally would like you to have representation. In this scenario, you have none. And if you don't like me, let me get you another agent. So you do have representation. So that's what I'm going to really encourage you to do is get representation. Do you want me to get you another agent? So I would really, now, after all that, no, I don't need another agent. I don't need representation. I'm fine, but we do want to see some houses today. Say, fine, I'll show you some houses. And then what you do moving forward is the next time a house comes out in their price range, you call them to show the one house. You don't take them out to do a tour of 5 houses on Saturday and then 5 on Sunday. You work the buyer. The first time you meet a buyer, you have this meeting, you show them whatever's available in their price range and their requirements. If they don't buy anything that day, you file them. And the only time they hear from you again is when a new listing comes up in their price range. And you tell them, come meet me at the house, work the house, not the buyer. Does that make sense?
It does.
Okay. And we should have a conversation on Monday. listen, power agents that are on the call, some of you, this is really foreign. So what I want you to do, today's Wednesday, be on the next coaching call this coming Monday and say, hey, Darryl, I had some questions that I wanted to personally ask you about Wednesday's webinar. So I'm trying to answer it as best as I can because you're writing it and Julie's reading it. But if you still don't feel taken care of, then bring it up again Monday, okay? And be at the beginning of the call and interrupt. Say, Darryl, I need to talk to you. Okay.
On that note, can you go back to the coaching call section and show them where they can ask their question in advance?
Well, that's good, Julie. That's another way you can do it, gang. So if I I love going to the classroom. We have a dashboard, but I just love jumping to the classroom because classroom has everything. If you click on coaching call, you'll see, I didn't even talk about taking notes. You have, Darryl, cool thing I want. You actually have your own notepad in the site as well. That's just for your membership, right? So we have thousands of power agents, but when you log in, this is your notepad. So you can use the notepad as well during the coaching calls, and it'll stay there for you. As a matter of fact, let me just see something here. How to get to, you can print it out, you can edit it, you can copy it, you can put hyperlinks in it. I'll show you how to get to all the notes in a minute. But if you have a question, I have a question for the call submitted here. Sarah, I think we should change that color to a different color, like red. You fill it out here, and then you hit submit. This thing goes to my team, and then the day of the call, my team prints out all of these questions in a Word document. It doesn't print it, but they email me a Word document with all the questions. Gail does that, and then I start with those questions first. Yeah, Sarah, we should probably, I think we should change this button to red or something to make it pop more for people.
You got it.
Okay. Yeah. All right. What else you got, Julie?
Marianne says, after presenting an offer, I heard there were at least 10 offers in, and the seller were asked for best and final towards the end of the week. Should I have my buyer submit best and final now or wait? I do not know the listing agent, and they're out-of-town brokers, so I'm afraid they may want both sides and not present my offer.
Yeah. Where, yeah, I would, there's a couple of things you can do is you can call the listing agent, feel them out, build a relationship, try and like treat the listing agent as if they're the homeowner and basically work the listing agent. That's one option. A second option, you can also have your loan officer share the desktop review information on the buyers and call the listing agent as well. So have your loan officer really push your buyers as well as how qualified they are. Number three, which is my preference, is actually you present the offer to the homeowner. Now, I know you say you can't do that, Darryl. That's not allowed, and that's not true. Most agents, they don't know that you can present your own offers, and legally the listing agent can't stop you. And now you're not going to win friends doing that a lot of times because the listing agents want to keep control. But there is absolutely a legal way to do that where you present the offer to the homeowner with the listing agent, and that's the best way to get your offer accepted. If you go to that, again, I can't teach that today. It's a different topic, and it's a whole hour. So if you go to the webinars on demand, you go, how to get your offers accepted in today's crazy market. That webinar will explain how legally the listing agent cannot prevent you from personally presenting your offer to their seller. And that's the answer there. That's the best way.
Perfect. Yesterday, I did comps for a couple after they looked over it. They said, how fast do you think my property will sell? I did answer them with no agent can determine how fast a home will sell. It takes the right price and the right buyer, but I will do the best I can to market your property and get it sold quickly. Was that a good comment to make?
Kathy, that was great comment. Because Kathy, one of the things that we want power agents to do is to stop speaking as if you know everything. And agents sometimes feel like that's what you're supposed to do as an agent. You're supposed to have an answer for everything. You're supposed to know. You're supposed to be able to look into the future and tell and predict it. No, that's not your job. Your job as an agent is to coach people, to give them advice, give them information, give them all of that so they can choose. but never make definitive promises. Give your opinion, but your opinion could be wrong, but this is what I think. And so, Kathy, I think you did a perfect answer. I love it.
Awesome. Fran says 95% of my clients are referred to me. And since COVID, I've been doing meet and greets over phone or Zoom. And they sign the buyer agreement online. So I send the homes online based on their criteria. They make a selection, then I schedule showings. Is that okay?
Well, Fran, I think you're doing a great job on everything. I'm just really not a fan of you emailing them the information like you just said. But I'm reading the question, Julie. The fact that they hired you, there's a buyer agency agreement. You had the meeting on Zoom. I mean, it sounds, Fran, you're doing a lot of great stuff. So I'm a fan of that. Everything you do there. And the fact that they're referred, they sign a buyer agency agreement, it's okay then. It's okay then, because now they're a client, not a customer, to now send emails. The only problem, friend, that I like you to look at as a possibility, and this is for everybody. And those of you experienced, and I'm sure for your friend, you're obviously experienced if you're getting a lot of referrals, you know what I'm about to say is true, is that sometimes buyers, even after they've bought a house, they ask you, can you keep me on the email list of listings that come out, the prospect match from MLS? Because what happens is there's a certain psychological chemical thing that happens for buyers where they get addicted, committed to the emails of listings. Like they keep looking and looking for emails and listings. And what happens is it lessens and takes away from the commitment to actually buying a house, because they become more committed to the shopping than the actual buying. And that's the huge problem in doing the emailing of listings to buyers. It gets them the opposite, less motivated, less committed. That's the psychological problem there. So, Fran, anyway, to finish up on what I'm saying, I like you to look at if it's possible to maybe instead of emailing, have them come in on a Saturday. Let's buy something today. I'll meet you Saturday. I'm going to have a whole list. Let's hit the road and keep that level of commitment there. Next question.
Awesome. Vicky says, when a seller's boyfriend decides to get involved with the home sale, telling me what to do and not do, he wants to know all the offers first. How do I handle this?
You need to okay. Well, I guess what you could do on that, Vicky, is have a conversation with the girlfriend and say, hey, listen, I'm not sure who's buying this. If you're both buying this, then I need him to sign a buyer agency agreement too. We need to have a new meeting because I need to explain to him how I work, and that's not how I work. So you've got to put that correction in, that bad behavior, because listen, let me tell you something. It's okay to fire clients. It's okay to not work with buyers. Okay. So, so if you're not happy with somebody and the way the relationship is, get rid of it. Move on, man. There's plenty of people out there. This is what I mean. You should not be dependent on any one couple or any one buyer, any one listing, okay?
Perfect. Any tips to keep buyers motivated in this sparse inventory market? Don't want to just email listings like you said, but how do we maintain that enthusiasm?
You can just, what I would do is if they have the children, like I said, you should have them know that this is, you're doing this for the children. I wouldn't worry about keeping them motivated as much as, when listings come out that might meet their criteria, you call them and you just set up the appointment. You don't have to worry that much about keeping them motivated. Just do your job. Your job is when something new comes on the market that might work for them, you call them. That's it. And if they've decided, you know what, this is too much for us, we're not going to. When they say that, then you can coach them. Say, well, I appreciate that. Listen, but could you humor me? Could you come out and just see this? Well, wait a second. The webinar is about to end in 4 minutes. It's telling me, Julie. Boy, we went much longer.
We did.
So,
I think we've ever had that happen.
I've never had that pop up before. Yeah, because we've been on much longer than normal. Okay, and we have so many more people still on the call. Oh my gosh! Well, thanks for being on the call. Let's finish up, Julie. By the way, yeah, we're going to finish up. But before you guys go, That's that little floating button that Sarah put up on the screen about start my trial. When I hang up this webinar, that's going to go away. So I recommend you click on that now before you get off, because for $5, this is a no-brainer. I want you to, the reason why we do this is because that's what you're going to get to keep for $5. But the reason why we're doing this too, gang, is for such an incredible price is because we know we've been doing this long enough. There's what's called the conversion rate. So I'm showing you behind the curtains right now. The conversion rate is how many people actually go from the $5 to paying $47. And industry average will tell you it's somewhere around 60 to 70%. We have almost 90%. And the reason why is because once you're with us for a month, it's really hard to not be with us because we give you so much value. So please try us and hey, listen, if you don't like us, if I'm wrong, what did you lose? Not even $5, because the value you're going to get to keep is well beyond that. So you got nothing to lose and so much to possibly gain. Click on that thing right now. Julie, is there any pressing questions? If not, we're going to just let it go.
Fran said, I've truly enjoyed the webinar. I do intend to do the trial period and see what else is included. She's 22 years in the business. Awesome, Fran. We're excited to have you on board. Yeah,
that's so great. Please, Fran, click on that button now. It'll bring you right to the order page. And when you'll see on the order page of everything we promised to give you. And then plus there's so much more. You also should know that when you sign up, we have an onboarding process, meaning that you're going to get a phone call to yourself from me. You'll get some texts. You'll get other emails. We have the chat. So we're going to take care of you to get you acclimated to this. And I will tell you, this is at your own pace as well. So this is not you're signing up for a training program. We're going to give you homework and you've got to be held accountable. Blah, 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 blah. Like, this is not to give you more stress. This is like, hey, we got a great smorgasbord of content for you. Come into the pool, dip in, and swim with us and participate when you can, and when you can't, you won't. So you come bop in and out, okay?
Perfect.
Anything
click on that button as well to ask any questions. Our team is standing by to ask and answer any questions you might have. Let's see.
If there's any power agents, I just published something. If there's any power agents that want to comment to the other people before we hang this up about, should they become power agent? Power agents, tell people, should they become power agents and maybe why or whatever you think.
Because it's not just us. You've got a whole community of thousands of agents as well, which is just such a support group. Linda asks, how do you respond to a client that wants to sell, but they're afraid they won't find a home to buy because of the shortage of homes?
Yeah, Linda, that question, I will tell you, for my whole career training agents and as an agent myself, we always tell people you need to sell first or at least put on the market and then buy. And there's many analogies and but this is a different market. I agree with any buyer that this is the type of market the seller needs to find their new home first. And that in this market, that is not putting the cart before the horse, because the market is so hot that if I have a house to sell and I look and I look and I look and I find a house that I want and I put my offer in and I tell that homeowner, here's the list price we're going to list it at. My agent's going to explain to the other agent, they got a house to sell. They're going to put it on the market at this price. The other agents say, oh yeah, that should sell within 2 days. Absolutely. So this is money in the bank. It's a different market. The buyer needs to find the house first before they put their house up in the market. And I agree with that in this market.
Vicky says, should I tell a seller about an offer and that I'm confirming the buyer's pre-approval and proof of funds, or just wait until I've made sure that the buyer is financially qualified to speak about the offer?
Yeah, Vicky, you should definitely, you shouldn't present an offer where there isn't a proof of funds or pre-approved if you can, right? So the more you present your buyer as a qualified, ready, willing, and able buyer to buy, the better your offer is going to be and a better chance for the buyer. So I would get all my ducks in a row first. Yeah.
Perfect. If I'm a past power agent, how do I re-sign up?
The best thing to do as a past power agent is to go to the website and click on that little button there and send a message saying, my name is, and you should give us your name, your full name. and your email address. Say, I'd like to join again as a power agent, because we have to reactivate you in a different format. Okay.
Perfect.
All right.
I think that's it.
All right, gang. Well, listen, thanks for being on the call. I hope this was valuable for you. And become Power Agent today. We're going to sign off. So please click on that screen now before I hang up. And I want to thank you very much for being here with us. Don't forget, we don't just help people buy and sell real estate. What we actually are doing is making a difference in people's lives. And real estate is merely the tool that you've chosen as your career or tool to make a difference. And the money you make is a gauge as to how many families you've helped. So focus on helping, focus on serving, not selling, and the money will follow you. Okay. God bless. Stay safe, stay focused. And of course, don't forget to keep smiling. All right. Thanks, Julie. Thanks, Sarah. Thanks to the team.